Good morning and welcome to the November 2025 Practice and Education newsletter. Let's begin with the bottom. So thank you all for listening to this message or taking the time to read the email below. I just want to offer some updates. Uh, Fundamentally, it's like the um, year calendar year is ending. It's a kind of like a recap of the activity of my office. And yeah, so let me just launch into it. The first update is that there was a working group on better practices for online teaching. And there were three people who came together and came up with a survey. That survey went out to everyone in the database who had been listed as teaching a piece of the curriculum. And so it went out to like 260, 259 people. That list might be flawed, right? So if you did not receive it, no offense. If you are a teacher and have been teaching online, please reach out. I'm happy to send you the link to the survey. Basically, we're trying to gather information around how we are innovating and kind of the better practices for teaching online so that that could inform manual. I mean, it can inform us as teachers, but also then get folded into manuals and teacher training, all of that. And so the survey went out initially. It's gone out twice so far. 3 weeks ago, it went up for the first time. I have 35 responses at this point. Half of them have indicated that they're interested in being in small group conversations with other teachers to discuss this further. And so this initial working group has dissolved, and now a working group will need to arise to look at the survey results, but also begin to host the small group conversations. And so that will probably all start to really happen in January. But some of the responses are really like, I don't like to teach online. Fair enough. Thank you. But those who are engaging in teaching online and took the time to fill out the survey so far, it has been really sweet to see their responses. And I trust that the small group conversations will actually bear a lot of fruit. So we kind of, as a teaching core, rise up to meet this kind of modern moment of Shambhala being a community that offers the Dharma online. Okay, the next update is about Buddhist refuge and bodhisattva vows. A lot of this work started 2 years ago and had to be put on hold for a number of reasons. And this work is now getting picked up again. So I have a call next week, the 7th, with the current preceptors. And so we did work to kind of clarify like what the ceremony looks like these days, and not really changing anything, but simplifying and clarifying. And then we need to turn our minds toward empowering the next generation of preceptors. And so there is a plan, and we just need to kind of be in conversation so that the current preceptors are really an active part of this process. I hope that we're able to offer some kind of empowerment moment for future preceptors um, toward the end of 2026. Okay. The next update is about Buddhist curriculum refresh. So there's a group of 4 people who are committed to looking at the Shambhala School of Buddhist Studies curriculum and really removing outdated references, kind of cleaning things up, but also pointing to modern references. So that curriculum was really developed. I mean, it's been an evolution of our curriculum over the years, so it's hard to say like, oh, it was developed here, but the mid 90s is when it was kind of consolidated into the Shambhala School of Buddhist Studies. And at that time, it really references mostly the Hinayana Mahayana transcripts of the Vijayadhara, which is a fabulous source. But I think we need to point it to the Profound Treasury. And since the mid 90s, a number of other publications have occurred that we can point things to. And so, like the Karma class, there's the new book on karma, the Karma seminars from Trungpa Rinpoche. Right. And so we just need to kind of clean things up and point them to modern sources. I have yet to meet with this group as a whole, but I've met with 2 of them twice now. So kind of a slow start, but that's okay. And I do trust that as we move into the new year, that the syllabi will be refreshed. And so all of those syllabi are currently available to educators in the educator resources section. And this group is really just going to go in and clean them up. So you'll start to see that those resources change. Okay. Teacher training. In April, I called together a group of 4 centers in North America, and that was because I didn't want to interrupt the process that has been organically developing in Europe. So 4 centers in North America interested in implementing the teacher training and authorization guidelines that were released in January of 2025. Of those 4 groups, for varying reasons, the majority of them did not feel they had the capacity to take on an implementation of teacher training at this point. So, though they're all still interested in that conversation, and I trust they'll join that conversation, Boulder is the only center moving forward with a teacher training at this point, specifically linked to the teacher training and authorization guidelines. And so they have just started their process. And as that develops, I hope to gather their documentation and really turn whatever I can into templates and post them in the teacher training resource section of PNE on Shambhala.org and make them available to other regions so that we as a community start to see ourselves and what's possible in the resources that are being provided. There's a small group of us working on editing the Heart of Warriorship manual. This is a process that started with Becky Hazel and Adam Lobel before the current crisis. And so Becky was really longing to finish the project. And so there's a small group of us, and we are working through the document, not changing the Shambhala Dharma, but rearranging and making the manual clearer and easier to access for teachers. And it's been a robust process. And I hope that before Shambhala Day, we will be ready to engage in a peer review process. We have not really talked about that yet, but I'm imagining that the edited document will go out to 30 current Shambhala training directors and just create a forum for feedback. And yeah, so that feels good. And I feel like we're on track for that. The next update is about Warrior Assembly. My office is planning to host 2 Warrior Assemblies in 2026. I think that we're really looking at July and August. And I'm hoping one is in Dechenschulling in France and one is in Karmachulling in Vermont. The teaching teams, the exact dates, the cost, the application process, all of these are still settling into place. And as soon as it feels like it is settled, there will be announcements. And so I'm hoping like by the 2nd or 3rd of January, which is the typical kind of release date, that those get announced. So know that those are in the plans. And so, okay. The next is about MI training. And so there is an MI training that is happening through Shambhala Online. Lead teacher and 7 assistant teachers. So there are 8 of us shepherding through 62. I think we're at 62. I accepted 64 people, but we've just lost a few. And so, which is normal. So I think we're at 62. We have started. It's a 7 or 8 month process, 3 full weekends, plus 7 individual hour-and-a-half sessions sprinkled throughout. This is completely in alignment with the 2023 MI authorization guidelines. And so I'm part of the training. And so if the pronouns, just so you understand that when I say we or I, we will not be authorizing the students at the end of this process, but rather engaging in conversations with the local centers so that the point of authorization is still local, but we're really training these candidates on behalf of the centers. This felt like a needed resource in a number of places, and so that's why this is occurring. But Janet Solinches, who is the lead teacher, and I have been in deep conversation with centers, and particularly the centers where applicants are coming from, to make sure that we're all on the same page and understanding how this is happening and how to support these students as they move forward. So I think in the same way, uh, the documentation that is produced in this training, the schedule and the syllabi and all of that, as well as the recordings, will be made available and posted in the meditation instructor resources area of Shambhala.org, so that other centers and regions can either use it, but use pieces, right? Like construct from those pieces, construct a training that makes sense for them locally. So hopefully you're seeing this pattern that I'm really trying to create resources, develop resources, make them available so that it empowers centers and regions to then be able to offer the trainings that have been identified as urgently needed. And so, right, MI training, teacher training in particular. Okay. The next update is that my office has been authorized for funding for a working group coordinator. And so that job description will come out soon. There's a small monthly stipend attached and really helping me help the working groups manifest. And so someone who can help with scheduling and kind of administrative needs and right, like the tools behind the gathering of working groups. So I hope to hire somebody in this capacity early in 2026 so that they can help with any working groups that will be continuing, but also the new emerging working groups of 2026 and beyond. So once we get all the fine tuning done, we will announce the hiring process and the job description. But know that that's happening. And the final update is that by the time you are seeing this, I have one more call tomorrow. It's the 30th of October when I'm recording this. I've been through a process the last 2 weeks of first a series of P&E leadership calls, and then this week has been P&E calls that are open to anybody in the community. And so I share these updates with people, and that takes about 25 minutes. And then we have another hour to really be in conversation together. I value these opportunities really for connection, but also to just clarify anything people are hearing or feeling, or, just like, let's stay in contact and keep that energy flowing so that it feels like there is a point of connection. So they have been really sweet calls this season. And so for leaders, I offer it 3 times a year. And these October calls for the open to the whole community are new. I haven't done that before. And so it just feels good. And I don't know the frequency of those open calls, maybe twice a year. Anyway, I'm committed to communication. And I also have a busy schedule. And so it's like trying to just balance that I have time to accomplish what needs to be accomplished, but also continue to stress communication and transparency. That, right, I'm not doing anything secret in this office, and it really is so volunteer driven. And yeah, I want us as a community to be able to celebrate um, the work that's happening in our community, uh, whether officially under my department or just happening organically out in the world. We ought to celebrate our accomplishments and work together where there are areas of challenge and struggle so that then we can support each other in that. It's not isolation. And yeah, so this has felt good, these calls. I think March will be the next calls. And I think in March, it's like, right, it'll be after the Shambhala New Year. I think it makes sense to do another like leadership calls and open community calls. Sometimes they're small. I think I had a call with 4 other people. I've had calls as many as 14. Um, I am happy either way. So if it's a really populated call or a sparsely populated call, that we have time to connect and really share from our hearts. It feels important. Okay, instead of just rambling, thank you all for taking the time to listen. And I hope you're all well. Please reach out if I can help in any way. Yeah, see you. The next newsletter, we're going to skip December and January, and so February, just because of the kind of conventional holiday season. So February will be the next P&E update. All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.